Hey y'all, so I got Valen in the car, so hopefully he don't mess up the video. But I was watching, what was I watching? It's a YouTube podcast with Lecrae and Jackie Hill Perry, and I was watching it in the car, and as I'm listening to the conversation, I am just like so stimulated, and I truly am to a point now where there's certain podcasts I can watch, there's certain conversations I can listen to, there's certain people that I can literally go have lunch with and I feel filled, like literally, like I feel like I've gained wisdom, I feel like I've gained perspective, I feel like I've gained something from that conversation, and that I'm not the smartest person in the room. And when I say the smartest person in the room, I'm not talking about math, science, chemicals, nothing, business. Like, I'm not even talking about anything worldly. And if you know, you know, when you have a conversation about God and it's not a superficial conversation about God, you're really being truthful and honest about your walk, and you're talking to somebody, or you're in conversation with somebody, or more than, you know, like one person, it's a group of people, there really is like a spiritual shift in that moment where you feel yourself kind of go deeper with God, or have like a different understanding of him, and you also have a sense of ease because you feel like people can relate. There are people that can relate to you. There are people that understand this walk. There are people that have been able to express exactly how you feel when you couldn't find the words to figure out how you feel. And the reason that this is so important is because you can get that from any industry, right? You can get that from any area of your life. You can get somebody to explain how you feel when you was going through a breakup. You can find people that can explain how you feel when you broke, or explain how it feels to lose somebody, or explain. You can get all of that. The spiritual walk is so different because it's not something that is tangible, right? It's not something that is, it's not something everybody experiences, okay? At some point in your life, you're gonna be broke. At some point in your life, you're gonna go through something like these worldly things. At some point in all of our lives, it's like you may go through that and you may be able to relate, but it hits different. It's different when you talking to somebody who has experienced God, who has experienced and had an encounter with Jesus, who had experienced the walk of being chosen, the walk of being called, the walk of being in his presence, in his spirit. Is just different. It's different. And this is for the people that are going through this, and you may be like a little bit earlier in your walk, and you're starting to hey. Oh no. Oh, okay, you dropped it. That's okay. So if you're a little bit earlier in your walk and you are starting to feel like the conversations with the people around you are draining you, or you're starting to become spiritually the wisest person in the room, of your family members, of your friends, there is no way that you're doing that right now. Like, this can't be possible, because this video is so great and somebody needs to hear this. Maybe you. So if you feel like just the fact that like your conversation is changing, that's gonna be the name of this video. Your conversation is changing, okay? The things that you want to listen to is changing, like they don't fulfill you, and you can still relate to those things because you're in a transition right now between the old you and who God is bringing you out of and bringing you into. You're transitioning, so you still can have these conversations. You can sit in the room and have these conversations. You can listen to these conversations, and you can have them, and you can be active in them, but internally they do not fulfill you. This is intentional. God is intentional about this. When I first when this first happened with me, and I felt like out of place, like I felt like I'm talking to people and this is what we talking about, and they just don't understand, and I can just tell that they have no spiritual wisdom, and I feel like I may be the only person in my life that has any kind of spiritual wisdom in conversation, and it can become so draining. But now I look back and I started to see that God is so powerful, and his spirit and his presence is so powerful, that when you become that person that begins to speak God in the conversation. That don't be afraid of being the person who's always bringing up God. That was me. I was to a point where I felt like I didn't want to be considered the holy friend, or I didn't want to be I didn't want people to stop talking to me because I would only talk about God, right? Because I used to feel that way about people. There are certain people I wouldn't go to because I know you just gonna tell me to ask God, or I know you just gonna say something about God and I don't want to hear that right now. And that's literally how I would feel. And so when God started changing me, I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm always talking about you. Like, I don't want to become that person to other people. And then slowly but surely, I mean, I feel like, I don't know if you just stop caring or what, or if God is just, you realize how good he is, that you just like, people have to feel this. But the things that you say, as long as you are being truthful and as long as you are stewarding over your tongue, the things that you say in conversation with people, God, I have said this in the last video, but God is going to have your back. So don't be scared to speak about God, or your testimony about God, or even to tell somebody about God, because he's going to show up in their life regardless. Okay? He will bring full circle for them, and you will have already done your part. He will bring full circle for them what you said, because truth is truth. And that's why I said, as long as you're speaking the truth, as long as you're saying what it is, if the Bible is truth, if the Bible and the word is truth, and you're speaking that, eventually they're gonna have to see that that was true. So even if you tell them, like, I need like a tangible example. Come on, Holy Spirit, give me a clear one. It can be hard to tell a friend to trust God when they don't know God, right? But you've gotten to a place where you know God, and they're telling you a situation that you see God in it, but they don't see God in it. Don't be afraid to tell them what you see. Don't be afraid to tell them, hey, I know that, and it doesn't have to, sometimes you have to give people the full perspective and not just say, girl, God gonna make a way. That's what people, well, duh. Like, that's how people feel. But to really give them the perspective of, yeah, girl, maybe you didn't get the apartment because this might happen. God might be protecting you from this. What if somebody was gonna break in your apartment and hold you at gunpoint next week? What if you was gonna move in that apartment and then everything in there was gonna start breaking and you was actually gonna lose more money than you was saving? What if you was gonna move in that apartment and you met the worst man of your life and fell in love with him just because you lived next door to him at that apartment? What if you, like, maybe you didn't get the job, because sometimes you have to give the perspective that you're seeing instead of holding it in, because your conversation is changing. And I want to empower somebody that when your conversation starts changing, number one, God is going to change the people around you too. Okay? Some people gonna get cut off. Some people gonna fall to the wayside. Some people might not talk to you as much. And that's fine. You don't have to beat them over the head with the Bible. You don't have to beat the word into them. You don't have to do any of that. But when you are being genuine in conversation and you feel that struggle of, I want to say something about God, but I don't want to keep bringing him up, bring him up, because that person needs that, and that's the Holy Spirit convicting you. Sometimes people are coming to you and they actually want to hear about God, but they're scared to say that, and they don't even know what they need, and they don't want to hear no mess, and they don't want to hear that you agree with them, and they don't want to hear what they should do that's rebellious, and they don't want to hear, yeah, girl, go mess this car up, go do this. Sometimes people need to hear something wise. Sometimes people need to hear something that's going to actually heal them. Sometimes people need to hear something that's going to actually help. Sometimes their soul is actually craving just something that makes sense. Something that's going to actually help. And so I just wanted to encourage somebody today that if you're in that part of your transition, that your conversation is going to start changing. And if you've been on a battle and you've been wondering like how to go about this, am I going to lose friends? Are people not going to understand me because they haven't been through this walk? They might not understand you yet. But it's okay, because God gonna give you a village. God is gonna keep strengthening you. God is gonna keep being with you on this walk. He's gonna show you how to do it, and you're gonna be fine. And the people around you are gonna start changing, and you are gonna be the turning point of that change. You are going to be the reason that they turn to God. You are gonna be the reason that they experience God. You're gonna be the reason that they really give Him an actual chance. Because of the little things that you said in conversation, because of the times where you had enough courage to go ahead and talk about them, regardless of what they think. Girl, I don't care if you do get off the phone and say, she always talking about God. And I am. And I am. And when you keep seeing me winning, you're going to be like, all right, maybe I'm getting too flesh-led. But we can't get out yet, Papa. Okay. All right. I love y'all. Bye. Hopefully somebody gained something from that. And y'all have a good day.